Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. So we had a, what would you say, Gino? I'd say a medium-sized meeting last night.
Yeah.
And here's some of the things that we did. Our sewer director, David Gray, came in and gave us an update about the sewer project, which he does pretty much on a weekly basis, so we heard from him.
Everything's okay there.
Everything's okay there. They're
schedule.
moving along. It's on schedule. We talked about the winter parking enforcement plan a little bit, which goes into effect on Monday, I believe, Monday after stroll, and that's all posted online. So
you don't want to talk about it?
Well, I didn't bring it with me, and I don't know it by heart, but there are some changes that happen pretty much specifically in the downtown core parking district, and there is a map of this online, and it changes from. Some areas change from a 2-hour to a 1-hour, but it doesn't affect the 15, 20, or 30-minute areas. I just can't remember all the details, Gino.
Is it any different from last year, though?
No, same thing as last year.
Okay, all right.
It's the same thing as the year before that.
All right, okay.
But it just, people forget about it.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, we didn't know there was ticketing, but there is ticketing. And anyway, look online, please. Go to the town website and see what it is all about. Okay, the fire station. I just want to mention that the board awarded the bid for the fire station project. Now, the fire station project needed additional funds, which were approved at the November 6th special town meeting. That vote required also a ballot vote, which was done at a special election this past Tuesday, the 28th. And incredibly, Gino, I've heard a little bit of chatter that people had no idea
they didn't.
There was an election. They had no idea what they were voting for. And I don't know how else to get information to people short of calling them on the phone and saying, do you understand? Because this has been talked about at selectmen's meetings, FinCom meetings. It's been in the newspaper. It's been on the town website. It's been on the radio. I get it that when you're involved in town government, these things are known to you. And when you're not, they're not always known to you. But there are ways, easy ways, to find out the information. The information always just doesn't go right to you without you doing anything. Sometimes you have to make a little bit of an effort to get the information. And at any time, if people have questions, we always are happy to get phone calls about it, or
right.
Whatever.
6%
questions.
of the electorate voted. Wow.
I know. So the question passed, and now the bid was awarded to the contractor, Delbrook JKS. We're going to start working on the contract now and start the timeline and get the project going. So that's a good thing.
What are we looking at for go? What do you mean by going?
Starting the project,
like
building
when?
it. That's a good question. I have not even yet talked to the owner's project manager, which is our group that's pretty much running the project. But I would imagine groundbreaking sometime this winter.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, what else did we do here? We had some different consent. I'm only going to go to the highlights. We had a public hearing on determining, I'm so distracted by these people outside. There's a lot of activity outside right now. It's coming.
Seems like we just got rid of them, Libby, and they're back.
I know, but we like them. We like visitors. Okay, so we had this public hearing that we have annually to determine what's called the tax allocation by classification and the percentage of the residential exemption to be granted for the current fiscal year, fiscal 18. That's all blah, blah, blah for basically this board is setting the tax rate, and that's a kind of a function of a particular formula. But anyway, there are some different options that you can employ. So the board increased the residential exemption from 20% to 25%. So for the year-round resident who's eligible for the residential exemption, that is good news for you. The shift, I had a discussion with Brian about this. I thought the shift remained at 1.75. He said it changed to 1.7, so I got to firm that up. But basically, it has to do with the shift between the residential rate, the open space rate, and the commercial rate. And you end up with the same amount of money in the end, but you shift around who pays what, basically. And I think they gave a little bit of a break to the commercial and the residential, year-round residential. So this should be online too. We had a pretty massive chart showing all the options. Okay, we gave the board a little bit of an update about some recent changes made to the open meeting law regulations by the state. It is going to require some amount of additional monitoring and administration of meeting postings, meeting minutes, meeting notifications, things like that. So we talked about how to deal with that.
What was the problem before? I mean, why do they have to change it?
Well, that's a question for the state, but there's been a real move at the state level to make records very transparent and easy for the public to get, public records. And the town of Nantucket has more on its website in the way of public records than, I'm going to argue, almost any other town in the state, at least according to our website host. Anyway, I guess there's probably, okay, one of the amendments or changes to the regulations is that minutes of public meetings have to be done within 30 days of the meeting taking place, or the next 3 meetings of that board, whichever is later. So I think what probably happens is, and this happened to us, minutes get delayed because there's so many other things going on that people don't get to the minutes as quickly as they need to. So I've read about this a bit in various newspaper articles with other towns. Some towns are behind, some are right on top of it, but it all depends on what your circumstances are. So this is probably an effort to force towns to get their minutes done in a timely manner, basically. That was one of the changes. There were some others too. We talked about 2018 annual town meeting warrant articles. Again, we've had a couple of discussions about that now. We have the citizen warrant articles that are in. We're waiting for the signatures to be certified by the clerk's office before we post them online. Hopefully that'll be done soon. We had a discussion about some parking and traffic regulation potential changes. Specifically, 3 things. Commercial vehicle parking overnight downtown. We've been going back and forth on this for 3 years now. The board has amended the regulations on that 3 times. We're talking about amending them for a 4th time. We're going to have a public hearing on December 20th about it. So we were going over the history, what's happened, what the loopholes have been, and what some recommendations are of town admin. We also talked about expanding the residential parking district to the Sunset Hill area. We had a hearing on that back in September. The police chief was directed to come back with a recommendation. He did, and that will be discussed at the December 20th hearing as well. And the board established speed limits in certain areas because there was a technical. We had approval to do this at the last town meeting. Towns can set their own speed limits within certain parameters now. And once you've made certain findings, and this was a housekeeping effort. We hadn't done something early on. I don't even remember what it was, but this was to make it all official. Okay, speaking of parking, we also, I didn't bring my final notes with me, but we also talked about downtown parking. The board had a pretty lengthy discussion about this at its November 8th meeting. They discussed it, but they didn't totally reach a conclusion then. So in a nutshell, what we're going to be doing is looking at parking management for the downtown area and engaging a consultant to help us develop a specific program for it. And this is parking management might be a less inflammatory way of saying paid parking. I don't know if inflammatory is the right word, but it's basically a paid parking.
Is it a company?
Well, we don't know yet. We're going to be looking at options with a consultant who specializes in this area.
See.
And going from there. They're going to help us figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the things that happened.
When might that happen?
Not this coming summer.
Okay.
Probably the summer of 2019.
I see.
And there will be a lot more discussion about this. At our meeting next week, right now the agenda is not totally done yet. We've got some of our usual announcements that we've been doing lately. We're going to have something from the Energy Office. We're going to have a public hearing on a new bulk fuel storage license for Harbor Fuel. They're going to be moving the downtown fuel tank farm out to land the town has sold them on Industry Road out near the airport, and they need a license for that from the town. So we're going to be having a public hearing about that. That's required. I'm going to give the board a monthly town management activities report that I give them just about every month. We're going to be getting an overview of a proposed new DPW garage. Now, I should say that This is a costly project, a new DPW garage, and we are trying to make the garage itself minimal. But there are some things that it really needs to have that we don't have now. We need to have our equipment under cover, and we need some amount of office space, not a lot, but a little for the work that needs to be done by some of the foremen that they just can't do very well right now. If anybody, I'm sure that at some point as this project progresses, we'll be offering tours of people to come out and look at the existing conditions.
I mean,
we'll get it out there.
When did we build those? How long's it been before we, I mean,
well, there's been a lot of piecemeal work out at the DPW yard for the salt shed, the vehicle garage, and then there's the other garage, which is you know, for storage and other types of maintenance, not the individual vehicles, but they paint the signs, not the signs, like the benches are painted in there. All the indoor work is done in there, and when there's a snowstorm or something like that, they go in there to, you know, thaw whatever you do during a snowstorm. Right. Now, I've been out there.
The size building, the same size as they
No, it would be bigger. It would be bigger because it's too small now to fit all the equipment in. The director obviously knows way more about it than I do. I've been out there a few times, not tons. It is a rat-infested.
There's no rats out there?
Oh, yeah. It's not a place that you want people to work in. You wouldn't want to work there. But you're not going to get rid of rats that
Forget
that. You don't want to work there. So why do we expect our employees to work there? There's rats at the landfill, yes. But, I mean, you shouldn't really have to deal with them, you know. You shouldn't have to eat your lunch and have it run over your hand or your foot. And that has happened. So we need, yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's a little story I heard last year about a rat that decided to have a nap in one of the vehicles, and the description of it after the vehicle was started.
You mean he was inside the engine?
Somewhere in there.
Probably, yeah, you hate
I didn't have to see the aftermath, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
It's not good. Anyway. The director, that was probably a little bit too graphic. I apologize for that. The director is going to come and give an overview of the project at our next meeting. So those are the things that are happening at the board meeting. We're working on our budget for the next fiscal year. We're giving the board an overview, presentation, a recommendation on that at its meeting on December 13th. Trying to get the water quality, Matticat water quality scope of work finished to get that to the board. We're working on the annual town meeting warrant for 2018. We're finishing up the follow-up for the special that we just had at the beginning of the month. Obviously, it's a big weekend this weekend.
It's just, it's mobbed.
It's getting to be mobbed.
No, you can't find a place to park.
Okay,
I had to park in next and the police department parking to do this show.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, Gino. The DPW's got a contractor working on the Easy Street sidewalk widening. I went over there to look at it today. It looks great.
Yes.
That project will shut down before the weekend. I did get some chatter complaints today about traffic around and projects that are going on. Yes.
What's going on
This is the off season. Cumbies is doing some drainage and utility work. My next meeting, people are here.
Oh, okay.
We're running into this time. They're doing some work for their building, its drainage and its underground utilities. And there's no other time for it to be done. They've been doing it at night. It's got to get done. And when are we going to do it? If not now. I mean, it's a pain in the rear end for everybody who has to drive around the island. But it is what it is. There's a lot of construction and work and stuff going on here. So, you know, it can't be done never.
Right.
So that's happening. Okay, one last thing, Gino. I want to say hello to someone who probably thinks I forgot about it because I didn't say it at the beginning. I'd like to say hello to my friend Dino. I saw him the other day. I said I would mention it on the show. He probably didn't believe I would remember or really do it. But
Dino?
The Dino.
I know Dino.
Do you?
What's his last name?
Almodovar.
Yeah, he's the only Dino.
He's the only Dino.
And I'm the only Gino.
You are, that's right. You could interview him sometime.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. All right, so Dino, hey. I think that's it for now. Thanks very much. See you next time.